Hello everyone, YIG 17 News welcomes you back to the 2015 edition of Youth in Government Model Assembly. Today, Friday, January 9th, the first bills were passed and signed in the upper and lower legislature. Nico and Nolan are reporting on the upper legislative bill, while Kelsey and Dean are reporting on the lower legislative bill.
Today, our youth governor, Carter Jones, had a chance to sign his first bill into effect at the Capitol around 3:30 p.m.
The first bill that passed, Bill 5500, was an act to require all police officers on duty to wear a camera while they were on active duty. This bill is important to Lieutenant Governor Vigems and I because in our platform, we really put an emphasis on pressing social issues, and as such a current event with recent issues with cop violence, we just decided that this was such a pressing issue that we sought out a well-reasoned bill and we moved it to the top of our agenda. This was the first bill because it's such a current event. It's really pressing and relevant to today's times, and it was well-funded, well-reasoned, and well-presented by the author.
This bill was at the top of Governor Jones's agenda. This is because he believes it's a pressing social issue. He also liked the bill because he believed it was very well-funded and that he thought it was presented effectively in committee and in chamber.
My bill is to establish the use of body cameras on all police officers and law enforcement. It's not personally important to me. However, I did see the subreddit Bad Cop, No Donut, and it talks a lot about police brutality in bigger cities, which isn't particularly applicable to Minnesota, but I still think police corruption and misconduct is an issue that body cameras can address. I think it's important because it has the potential to help court cases and improve confrontations between police and constituents.
Okay. And how did you feel when you heard that your bill was passed?
I was surprised and excited. This is my first time ever in YIG, and I wasn't expecting to get so much positive review on my bill. I can definitely see a few weaknesses with it, and I was really surprised when the governor sent me a letter, so I'm very happy with the result.
And now to the Lieutenant Governor's signing.
The bill is about tying college tuition to minimum wage. Let's check it out and ask some questions.
Elise and I are here to present our first bill signing, and I'd like to introduce to you Tessa, who is going to be our first bill, and I'd like to give her a few seconds to talk about her bill.
My bill is to restrict the raising of college tuitions to the same percentage of the increases of minimum wage that year, to just make sure that all students who are graduating high school and wishing to go on with their education and to get a degree won't have as difficult of a time to afford it if they're paying for it on their own.
Thank you. We'd just like to say that we really like this bill because it goes hand in hand with our platform, and we're just really happy because the first bill is education, and that was really a priority for us. So first off, I'd like to present you with one of these purple ribbons. So congratulations, you are the first recipient. Round of applause.
What does it feel like to get your bill signed first?
It was actually really exciting, and I was kind of confused, but it was a lot of fun, actually.
Why is this bill important to you?
My brother is going into college for his first year, so my dad was complaining a lot about how tuition prices are a lot higher than they were for him when he went to college. He was talking about how it would be better if we restricted the tuition raises to cost of living increases, but that didn't work. So we switched it to be minimum wage because it made more sense if my brother could help pay off some with his own job.
How do you think it will help?
I know a lot of kids who stress out about having to pay for college and are trying to think ahead of how to get scholarships or help paying for it. And so I feel like if the tuition didn't continue to raise, it would probably help them.
And that's all that we have on the story for now.
We all know the courts, we all know the legislature, but do we all know National Issues Forum? Let's watch as Amy and Hannah find out.
What's NIF? Or is it NIF? Let's find out from the presiding officers themselves.
We've decided that it should be pronounced NIF because NIF is a little too colloquial for the nice presentation that we're trying to achieve in the National Issues Forum.
Basically, it's like a smaller group of people in it's like the legislation. However, we deal with larger topics concerning the nation rather than a bill or an individual an idea, and it's a lot of debate spent in committees. It's a fun time, small group of people, but we get the job done.
National Issues Forum is similar to the legislator in that we address issues, but instead there are proposals instead of bills, and it's more broad ideas rather than nitpicky bills regarding the legislative issues in Minnesota. And with those broad ideas comes ideas from all over the nation as well as the world. So they're very relevant issues to our country and our world, and not so much centralized around Minnesota politics. And so we address these proposals and they move on, and in General Assembly we vote on them, and some are signed in as proposals to be considered for the country or the entire world. So I will explain to you the process. It started yesterday. We had 4 committees, A, B, C, and D, and that was everyone in NIF was divided up into those 4 committees. And so we would have chairs, and all of the audience would participate in debating proposals. And those delegates would rank the proposals on several different categories, so they would not rank them based on whether or not they actually agreed with the proposal, but rather on categories such as debatability or feasibility or evidence of research. And so the proposals with the lowest score, so for example, if the proposal was extremely debatable, the audience members would give it a 1. And so the proposal with the lowest score would move on, and based on a certain percentage, only about 14 made it on to the second grouping. So we have C and D grouped together, and then A and B grouped together in committees 1 and 2. That's the second tier of proposal debating. And so only 14 are in each of those rooms, and then we'll do the process again with the ranking and the scoring of the proposals based on debatability and feasibility, evidence of research, and as well as national importance. And then we will move to General Assembly tomorrow, where it's every member of NIF in the room together, and only a certain few proposals that made it through. And we will debate those and eventually vote on them to whether or not they'll be enacted.
Presiding officer, with Aaron Hahn, who's my other, my co-PO, basically, we just do the behind-the-scenes work. We put in a lot of extra time in between this model assembly and the one previous, and we make sure things run smoothly and make sure NIF is a well-oiled machine.
My job is to make sure that everything runs smoothly and to train in the chairs, our wonderful team of chairs who are currently presiding over the committees right now, and I'll also be presiding over General Assembly once we get there. But basically my job is to make sure there's no troubleshooting, and if there is, to make sure that the delegates aren't aware of it so that everyone can have as good of a time as possible. And so it's a lot of behind-the-scenes work, but it's fun to make sure that everything goes well.
What does it take to pass a bill? Tune in as we follow Bill number 4303 in the first edition of 2, following a bill from committee to governor.
Today we've interviewed Junice from Duluth, proposing a bill to require mental health counselors in all Minnesota public high schools.
I decided to write this bill because I have a couple friends who have depression and anxiety, and they sometimes they get really overwhelmed at school and they don't have anywhere to go. Our school, I don't remember the exact date, but someone committed suicide, and that was really horrible. I didn't know the person personally, but I heard some of his, I heard some rumors saying that he did go to the guidance counselors for help, but they didn't know what to do with him.
Mental illness is a growing issue occurring and affecting many within Minnesota, especially the youth. Approximately 50% of students aged 14 and older who are living with a mental illness drop out of high school. This is the highest dropout rate of any disability group. Also, more teens and young adults die from suicide than from cancer, heart disease, AIDS, birth defects, stroke, pneumonia, influenza, and chronic lung disease combined. When it comes to students, their health and well-being should be our #1 priority. However, most of Minnesota's schools are lacking in providing students the proper care and guidance. Out of all 50 states, Minnesota is ranked 48th on a counselor-to-pupil ratio. On average, there are 792 students to 1 counselor. This calls for a need for more counselors, giving an opportunity to place mental health counselors into all Minnesota public high schools. By doing so, we can eliminate the strain on the current guidance counselors while, at the same time, giving neglected students the special care they need in order to be mentally, academically, and socially successful. My bill will help many students statewide, and I encourage everyone to think of how much it will positively affect all the schools, especially the kids who can't get the care that they need because they can't afford it or they're not able to access it.
Today we've interviewed 3 people on their opinions of the bill.
He would be in favor of it because it requires services that some students don't have access to outside of school, and it would help their mental stability, which would be improved.
I'm for this bill because I just think it's a really good idea and it'll help the general welfare of all the students, and a lot of students might be suffering from depression or stress because of school can get so stressful at times, and having someone to actually talk to and help you with your problems would benefit a lot of people.
I'm not fully against it. I like the idea of the bill. It just has, in my personal opinion, I feel like there is already counselors enough for the amount of people that have this problem, at least in my school, so I didn't think it was a immediate need for the current situation.
The bill has passed through the committee, so tune in later as we follow her through the Senate.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Is your Yig wardrobe a little bare? Do you need more Yig swag? Well, come on down to the state office building on the 3rd floor near the elevators. They have anything and everything you could want. Need a water bottle? They got you covered. A sweatshirt? They got that too. It's the best deal around. Hurry up though, some items like the I Love Yig t-shirt. And brand new this year, the Yig track jacket are limited quantities. So come on out and get one today. Today at the Capitol building, the Yig junior and senior lobbyists got a chance to talk to some real-life lobbyists for a chance to learn about what it means to be a lobbyist. We catch up with a real lobbyist who does this job for a living.
Who am I? My name is Scott Mohn. I am what they call a contract lobbyist, which means I represent a number of different clients. I am originally from Western Minnesota. I grew up in Appleton, and this is my 17th year of being a lobbyist at the state capitol. Love it. Best job I've ever had. I think if you would go around and talk to a lot of lobbyists, they're pretty much going to say what I say. Why do I love it? Because there's a lot of interesting people. You have to have a decent personality to be able to work in this field. I get to learn new things every day. I work for a number of different clients and different issues. So every day I'm working in an energy committee, or then I'm in a tax committee, or I'm in an environment committee. So I'm always learning something. So I very much enjoy my job, and I get paid for it. I am here volunteering to help out with the Youth in Government program. And I think this is the 15th year I've done it. What they do every year is the organization gets the Youth in Government lobbyists to come over to the Capitol, and then a number of us actual lobbyists sit down with the students, and they ask us questions and ask us what we do, and we have lunch with them.
A fellow Yig delegate explains his experiences on the matter.
So far as a lobbyist, I've pushed for bills to be pushed through and changed people's opinions on them. I did talk to a real lobbyist, and I learned that what we do at Youth in Government is pretty close to what they do. My hopes for this year, I'm hoping to get a bill signed by the governor.
Dan, the officer in charge, tells us about the past and future of the program.
I'm Dan Husett. I'm the Lobbyist Executive Director this year. I run both the junior and senior lobbyist programs, and I appointed all the officials. Well, starting back in 2001, we only had maybe a dozen lobbyists, and it was a pretty small, unknown program, and we've grown over the years to actually having a surplus of people apply for our position, which causes some problems for the state office, which we will be addressing this year. I would like to have this transition into being all-appointed, much like the media is, so we'll be an all-appointed program area where everyone who is a lobbyist will be appointed by the next lobbyist executive director, and I just want that transition into an appointed system will be smooth and good.
Good night, and thanks for watching.